Somebody said the closer you get to the microphone, the farther you get from the truth. Think it through.
What if the voices that comforted millions suddenly fell silent? Bill Gaither, the man behind decades of gospel legacy, is stepping back. But the reason will break your heart. A quiet family battle, a powerful farewell, and a legacy that might be closing its final chapter. But this isn't just about loss. It's about love, resilience, and the sacred moments we never see on stage. Stay with us, because what happens behind the curtain will change how you see them forever. Gloria Gaither, long known as the poetic soul beside gospel music legend Bill Gaither, has just shared a message that feels heavier than words can bear. Her voice, once soaring through sanctuaries and arenas alike, now trembles as she steps back, not just from the stage, but heartbreakingly from the very spotlight where she made her legacy. Fans everywhere are holding their breath, sensing this may be the final act in a lifetime of devotion, melody, and ministry. What has Gloria seen behind the curtain of fame and faith that brought her to this crossroads? She's not simply Bill Gaither's partner in life. Gloria is the heart of gospel's golden era, the co-creator of over 700 songs, and the lyrical architect behind Christian anthems like Because He Lives. She's moved millions without ever craving attention. But now, at 82, her recent message, delivered with watery eyes and reverent silence, has stunned the faithful. "There comes a time," she whispered gently, "when the heart feels a nudge, a pull toward quiet." Her words, veiled but clear, signal that the spotlight is dimming for good. Gloria didn't utter the word retirement, but the implication echoed louder than any farewell concert. No more large-scale events, no more long tours. She's choosing instead the stillness of home, the quiet rhythm of writing, reflection, and being surrounded by the family that's long shared her with the world. It's a moment of grace, but also one that leaves fans aching with a sense of loss, like hearing the final note of a song you never wanted to end. Before she became the voice behind gospel's most comforting hymns, Gloria Sickle was a young girl from Michigan, born on March 4, 1942. She was raised in a deeply Christian household where faith and education were held in equal regard. She gravitated toward poetry and the written word early on, showing a depth of understanding that would later form the backbone of her ministry. At Anderson University in Indiana, her passion for language deepened. But something else happened there too, something that changed her course forever. She met Bill Gaither. He was a music teacher with gospel ambitions, already experimenting with sound and harmony. They were drawn together not by glamour, but by a shared love for faith and expression. Married in 1962, they would go on to create something far bigger than themselves. It didn't start with fame. Gloria kept teaching English while Bill chased music. But slowly, her lyrical instincts started shaping the trio's songs. Bill brought the music, Gloria brought the meaning, and together, they wrote history. One song changed everything. During the late 60s, the world outside was unraveling. The Vietnam War, civil rights unrest, and cultural upheaval were leaving people disillusioned. At the same time, Gloria, pregnant with their third child, felt an overwhelming anxiety about the world they were bringing their baby into. Bill was drained from relentless touring. Emotionally and spiritually, they were unraveling. But in that storm, they turned inward, toward prayer, and toward each other. What emerged was not despair, but a masterpiece. Because He Lives wasn't born from peace. It was born from the chaos of fear and the search for hope. Sitting quietly in prayer, Gloria found the words that would touch generations. They poured out of her not as lyrics, but as lifelines. Released in 1971, the song became more than a church favorite. It became an anthem for survival. The message was simple but powerful. The future is in God's hands, and that alone is enough. That one song launched them into a new dimension of influence. Gloria was no longer the quiet co-writer. She was now seen as a voice of spiritual wisdom, a woman whose words could comfort the broken and challenge the complacent. Yet, she never sought fame. Even as the spotlight expanded, she remained grounded, anchored in family and faith. She kept writing, not just music, but devotionals, essays, and books that peeled back the layers of life's most complex emotions. And always her words rang with truth. Her writing wasn't lofty, it was lived in. It carried the texture of motherhood, the weight of ministry, the ache of grief, and the spark of joy. Her gift wasn't just poetry, It was empathy, wrapped in melody. Through the 70s and 80s, as the Gaither vocal band rose and the Homecoming video series became a staple in Christian homes, Gloria never chased the spotlight, but her presence was felt in every lyric sung. Now, decades later, her decision to step back feels like the end of a sacred era. It's not just the loss of a performer, it's the quiet departure of a storyteller whose words stitched faith into countless hearts. And yet, there's beauty in her farewell. It's soft, it's reflective, it's entirely in line with how she's lived, honestly, humbly, and with deep reverence for the moment. Every stage Gloria Gaither ever walked onto held more than just music. It carried the weight of decades of quiet wisdom and steady conviction. In a world that often chases the loudest voices, Gloria's strength was found in silence, in thoughtfulness, in words so deliberately chosen they felt like prayers. The spotlight rarely centered on her, but her presence illuminated everything it touched. She became more than just a songwriter. She was a gentle architect of faith, shaping the soundtrack of countless lives with lyrics that didn't just rhyme. They resonated. As she began to transition from the front lines of music into quieter seasons of life, her impact only grew. Audiences didn't just remember the songs, they remembered the feeling, that unmistakable warmth of being seen, of being understood. She poured herself into mentoring younger artists, especially women, in an industry still catching up to the depth she offered decades earlier. Her speaking engagements at women's conferences became events of their own, not because she commanded the room with flair, but because she entered it with sincerity. You could hear a pin drop when she spoke. Her words, always measured, had a way of lingering long after the mic was off. There's something magnetic about a woman who listens more than she speaks, who values substance over stagecraft. That was Gloria. Her writing didn't just echo theology, it revealed the intricacies of the human spirit. She turned sacred truths into tangible comfort, weaving scripture into story, doctrine into dialogue. While the Gaither vocal band evolved and the Homecoming series flourished, she stayed rooted, always the steady soul behind the scenes, not hidden, anchoring, writing with her whole being, speaking with the kind of grace that makes you lean in. In the sweeping tide of the 1970s and 80s, when so much about music and ministry was shifting, Gloria didn't need to shout to be heard. While Bill Gaither carried the public energy, Gloria shaped the soul. She crafted songs that weren't just sung, but experienced. In a genre often saturated with repetition, her lyrics stood apart, layered with meaning, alive with poetic fire, and grounded in theological depth. She made faith feel like a lived-in story, not a distant theory. Even now, fans return to those songs in moments of joy, grief, and questioning. They're not just nostalgic, they're still relevant. Her verses took listeners by the hand, walking them through valleys and over mountaintops. She understood loss and longing, but also peace and promise. One of her quiet revolutions was how she gave gospel music a literary heartbeat. Every line, part hymn, part journal entry. That blend of sacred and deeply personal made her work unforgettable. What set Gloria apart wasn't simply talent. It was her ability to remain unshaken in a culture obsessed with fame. She didn't play into celebrity. She stayed devoted to purpose. In a time when few women were given a platform in ministry or theology, she carved one out, without ever demanding it. Her books, devotionals, and essays opened a new world for women of faith. She was candid, vulnerable, and deeply human. She admitted to struggles, never pretending to have all the answers, but always pointing gently to the one who does. That honesty became a lighthouse for others, for mothers drowning in busyness, for women trying to reconcile identity with calling, for anyone who needed permission to ask hard questions and still believe. Her words wrapped around hearts like a soft quilt, comforting, familiar, and stitched with truth. And behind all the public accolades was a woman grounded in the everyday, a wife who stood beside her husband not as a shadow but as an equal force. 60 years of marriage brought their share of strain, tours, ministries, children, pressures, but Gloria held the fabric together. Late-night songwriting sessions after the kids fell asleep, family dinners between rehearsals, teaching her children that love isn't loud, but lasting. Friends remember her not for charisma, but for clarity. The person who sat with you in silence when no words were needed, the one who noticed what others missed. She mentored not only through advice, but through presence. Writers, theologians, singers, all speak of her as someone who saw something in them before they saw it in themselves. What a rare gift, to inspire without overpowering, to lead without needing applause. Gloria lived her faith not as a performance, but as a lifestyle. Her ministry didn't start on stage. It started around dinner tables, in late-night letters, in whispered prayers. And that legacy might just be her most powerful gift. Even as she steps into the background now, her imprint is everywhere. In the lyrics we still hum, in the lives she helped shape, in the reminder that real influence doesn't scream, it whispers. Her life tells a different kind of story, one where greatness is found in humility, and success is defined by faithfulness, not fame. And perhaps that's what keeps her memory so vivid. She lived the kind of life we hope is still possible in a noisy world, one marked not by spotlight, but by sacred quiet. The story of Gloria Gaither's quiet farewell is not just the closing chapter of a remarkable musical life. It's a deeply emotional turning point that's left thousands across the world in quiet reflection. As news of her decision to step away from the spotlight spread, an undeniable wave of admiration rose up. This wasn't just about a retirement. It was about a woman who shaped lives with words that lingered far beyond a stage or microphone. In a world where fame is often loud and fleeting, Gloria's influence remains gentle, deep, and permanent. Fans were not prepared for this, and the silence she leaves behind speaks volumes. One fan wrote, "My mom played because he lives at every one of my birthdays. Now she's gone, but Gloria's lyrics still bring her close." These aren't just nostalgic anecdotes, they're reminders of how one woman's pen could touch corners of the world she never visited. Her lyrics have held people's hands through chemotherapy, divorce, loneliness, and late-night prayers whispered into darkness. It's not just songs, it's survival. And in that silence, Gloria's departure has become one of Hollywood's most emotional recent stories. A quiet storm, but a storm nonetheless. Gloria's family, especially her children, have embraced this transition with grace and reverence. Suzanne, the eldest, has anchored the family's legacy in the business world, ensuring that the Gaither name stands not only as a ministry, but a sustainable empire. She co-wrote songs, managed projects, and became the silent powerhouse behind the scenes. Amy, the poet and actress, took the road less traveled, yet her deep intellectual reflections trace clearly back to her mother's table talk. She once shared that Gloria never just wanted obedient children, she wanted thinkers. That belief, that faith should be understood, not just inherited, is why Gloria's legacy doesn't fade with age, it matures. Then there's Benjamin, the son who followed the musical torch. Co-founder of Live On Media, he merged tradition with innovation, crafting homecoming specials and modern worship projects that still carry his mother's signature blend of sincerity and spiritual grounding. His beats may be new, but the heartbeat is old-school Gloria, real, raw, unwavering. And yet, despite her children's accomplishments, what's most revealing is how they all describe their mother, not as a public figure, but as the compass at home. They remember her scribbling lyrics late into the night, not for fame, but because inspiration waited until everyone else had gone to bed. They speak of vacations that were short, but sacred. No matter how hectic the schedule, she guarded those moments with fierce tenderness. Even with the demands of touring, she never made her family feel like an afterthought. In recent interviews, Bill Gaither's admiration for his wife's decision is quiet but profound. He called it well-earned peace, a chance for her to rest, to walk through her garden without thinking about her next project. And he's right. Gloria's spent over 6 decades pouring into others, into faith, into the music industry, into her home. The time has come for her to listen instead of lead, to hold her grandkids instead of microphones. Fans have not taken this farewell lightly. Her simple video announcement caused a landslide of reactions online. YouTube was flooded with comments, some sobbing over her impact, others sharing powerful stories of transformation. Radio stations ran entire segments in her honor. Churches organized services. And online, you'll find videos of strangers, different generations, races, and walks of life, united by her voice. That's the kind of influence money can't buy. That's legacy. But behind the softness and humility, Gloria Gaither's life also carried serious financial and entrepreneurial weight. Over the years, she and Bill built one of the most respected music empires in the Christian industry. Their real estate portfolio has included a serene lakeside estate in Indiana and additional properties designed for both privacy and creativity. Gloria has been known to drive luxury vehicles like a Mercedes-Benz GLS, often choosing comfort and safety over flash. She's worn elegant, timeless watches, including vintage Rolexes and Cartier timepieces passed down through the family. Though not flashy, these items reflect class, not clout. The Gaithers have invested in media production companies, publishing rights, and a vast music catalog that continues to generate royalties worldwide. They've also held comprehensive insurance packages covering their assets, touring risks, and Gloria's intellectual property. Financial advisors have long praised the Gaithers model. Build slowly, own your content, and stay debt-free. That legacy is as strong as any lyric Gloria ever penned. As she retreats from public life, what we're witnessing isn't an end. It's a beginning of a quieter chapter, one that fans and family alike are ready to protect and preserve. And that's where the true impact of her story lies. Gloria Gaither never chased fame, she chased purpose. And somehow in that pursuit, she ended up touching millions. Her songs still ring through hospital corridors. They're being played in prison chapel services. They hang in dusty frames on piano tops in homes across the globe. Her words don't age, they anchor. As the music fades, what remains is the melody of her life. Not perfect, not polished, but full of heart. And just like that, we come to the end of one of the most heartfelt journeys we've shared on this channel. From chart-topping gospel songs to handwritten lyrics that comforted millions in their darkest hours, Gloria Gaither's impact isn't just felt. It's lived through hymns, still echoing in churches, homes, and hearts around the world. And now, as Bill Gaither steps back to be beside the woman who's been his rock for over 6 decades, we're reminded that some love stories aren't made for the spotlight. They're made for quiet gardens, long walks, and the kind of conversations that don't need microphones. We've walked through Gloria's legacy, her poetic grace, her unwavering faith, and the way she turned even the messiest moments of life into music that gave people hope. We've seen how her children took those lessons and carried them into the next generation, whether on stage, in books, or behind the scenes. We've watched as fans, young and old, flooded the internet with their memories, their gratitude, and their raw emotion. Because when someone touches your spirit the way Gloria has, you don't forget them, you feel them. And let's not forget the quiet luxury behind the legacy. From their sprawling Indiana estate to their decades of smart business choices, the Gaither family showed us that wealth isn't just about what you have, it's about what you give. Their financial empire, built on faith-based publishing, real estate, music royalties, and licensing deals, wasn't flashy, but it was rock solid. Think classic Cadillacs, understated designer watches, and private jets that were more about purpose than prestige. Even their insurance plans? Thoughtfully chosen to protect not just their assets, but their ability to keep creating. It's a masterclass in building a life of meaning, not just money. So here's the takeaway. Gloria and Bill didn't chase fame. They let purpose find them. They turned down the noise of celebrity and leaned into something deeper. And now, in choosing rest over recognition, they're still teaching us the most important lesson of all, that the real legacy is how you made people feel, long after the spotlight dims. If you felt something watching this, don't just scroll past. Hit that like button, drop a comment sharing your favorite Gaither memory, and if you haven't already, subscribe so you never miss a story that moves you. We've got more emotional deep dives, powerful revelations, and behind-the-scenes Hollywood journeys coming up. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. And finally, in the words that Gloria penned so simply, so perfectly, because he lives, I can face tomorrow. That line, it isn't just a lyric, it's a lifeline. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.